Hello guys, I made this video to introduce you, it's just a revision, not actually an introduction to one of the topics that we'll be looking at. That topic is on the features of a conversation. Welcome to Features of Conversation. I'm Janpha Thadphoothon. From the Faculty of Arts, Thurikit Pandit University in Bangkok, Thailand. And yep, let's get it. Let's move to the next slide. I have two aims actually. First is to describe at least 5 features of, I mean, conversation in general. And then for each feature, we're gonna give some examples. Of course, this is to demonstrate our understanding of those features. And the 5 features of conversation that I'm talking about refer to the following, as you can see here. The number one is the uh, lexical and grammatical feature, the features of spontaneity, because a conversation is a form of oral interaction. We don't have time to prepare. So the interaction is pretty much spontaneous. Spontaneous mean without thinking time and preparation. And the third is the features related to interactivity. In conversations, two or more people interact orally about an issue in question. A conversation is also a social phenomenon. People interact and they exhibit their personality. So a conversation is also an action involving features of what we call interpersonality. And the last one is the recognition that in speech or when we have a conversation, we don't just talk, we do things. We call this speech in action. And we're going to look into these 5 features in a minute. The first one is the lexical and grammatical features. Of course, I mean, these are two basic features of any media or any mode of communication, including conversation. We can look into the use of vague language, like it's kind of thing, something like that, down in the dumps. We can look at the vague language. We can also look at the use of personal pronouns, like I, we, you. This is something that we can look at. We can also look at a grammatical feature like ellipsis. Ellipsis means the omission or part of a sentence, and that can be understood from the context. For example, um, there's a dialogue that I always give it to you in the classroom is, where are you going? Where are you going? The library. And the answer is the library. You don't have to actually repeat the sentence like I am going to the library. You simply say, the library. Where are you going? The library. So you leave out um, a chunk of the language. This is what we call uh, an ellipsis. Moving on to the evidence of spontaneity, as I just mentioned, being spontaneous is very important in an oral interaction like a conversation. Here we can look into the use of non-fluency features, like the use of fillers. Actually, I use this a lot, and pauses. A short pause or a long pause. False starts. Because of its spontaneous. Sometimes um, we make a false start, and then we backtrack. You know, and then we say it again, or we correct ourselves. Uh, can I talk about geometry? No, I mean geography. You see, you make a false start, and then you backtrack, and then you start all over again. This is very common in uh, an oral interaction, and we see a lot of repetitive use of content words. And also the utterances. When I say utterance, I mean what coming out of your mouth, right? We see a lot of incomplete utterances. Like I would say, there are many reasons why people do not finish their sentences. Maybe there was interruptions, or you just simply don't want to talk about it. And we can also look at some coordinating conjunctions like and or but so, you know, in order to be spontaneous. Right, let's move on to the third feature, interactivity. We can look at some evidence of this feature. We can look for the use of adjacency pairs, or a two-way interaction, or expression that often go together, like greeting and greeting. When I greet you, you greet me back. When I say hi, you say hello. When I say thank you, you can say you're welcome. You respond to the thank you. You can look at questions used, like follow-up questions to asking for clarification, thing like that. And the use of back channeling items or expressions like really, uh-huh. Back channeling is a way of signaling to your interlocutor that you are actually following him or her in the discourse or in the conversation. We also look at the overlaps, when two or more people in a conversation actually, you know, speak at the same time. This is very common in a conversation among, close friends. And you can also look at the use of interruptions. The interruption. People interrupt each other a lot. So now, before we move on, let's just do a bit of revision. Let's recap. I talked about 5 features of a conversation, and I have covered 3 of them. Remember the first one? What's the first one? Yes, of course, lexical and grammatical features. And the second one? Yes, of course, it's very difficult to pronounce for you. Uh, Maybe it's a new word like spontaneity, because a conversation is very fast. You don't have time to prepare. It's spontaneous, you know. And the third feature is the feature of interactivities. We talk about adjacency pairs, the use of questions, back channeling behavior, um, and the overlaps and the interruption. Let's move on. Yep. The fourth feature is a feature related to our personalities, our relationship. As I mentioned many times, that the most important thing in communication is not the meaning. The most important thing is actually the doing and the relationship of the people involved in that communicative event. For international features, we can analyze things like laughter, people laugh, and also I would say non-verbal behavior. Of course, in our class, we don't have time to focus on this aspect. We can look at the use of hating expressions, why people hate. You cannot um, say what you want to say. We don't say what we mean and mean what we say. We cannot say what we want to say, so we have to say something else. So there's a lot of stakes involved when we engage in a conversation. And also the use of evaluative language, like great, wonderful, fun. So these are just some of the features of interpersonalities that we can look at. Okay, and the last thing that I want to leave you here is the fifth feature of a conversation. As I told you, a conversation does not happen without action. It's, speech is a when you exhibit your behavior as well. So we can actually analyze the deictic language, DEICTIC or DEXIS. Deictic language is, refer to words or expression that whose meaning depends on the whereabout, the time and the place, or the context to understand. For example, when they say uh, this room, okay, the word this or demonstrative pronoun. Right? Traditionally, we will call this demonstrative pronoun. This room is this room where I am now. If I am somewhere else, when I say this room is that room, it's not actually this room. Okay, the girl over there, the woman over there. Over there can be anywhere. Okay, it depends on the context. Okay, so just to wrap up, I just explain to you. I describe each of the five features of a conversation. A conversation can be defined as an oral interaction of a group of people, starting from two or more. And we have looked at five of them: lexical and grammatical feature, uh, spontaneous feature, interactivity features, interpersonality feature, and the speech in action features. And that's all. I hope you enjoy mini lecture on the feature of the conversation. If you have any question, don't forget to leave your question in the comment section below, or you can actually leave your question on the Google websites. Thank you. See you in my next video.